necessarily need to be prosecuted.
Rupinder Bains, a solicitor who specialises in defamation over the internet, joins us now from central London. Good afternoon, Rupinder. I mean, was most of what Keir Starmer said, from your point of view, common sense?
Very much so. Very much common sense. And the guidelines that have been produced, although go some way towards giving everybody an indication as to what could be prosecuted and what may not be prosecuted. To be honest, the legislation already existed, and most people within the legal profession at least knew where we all stood with regards to offences that could be created online.
Is part of the problem that we've seen over the recent months and years as the internet, social media has got bigger, that different cases, depending on where they are in the country, depending on who has committed them against who, I'm thinking of public profile people, they're treated differently, and that there doesn't seem to be any common way?
There's a huge disparity with how cases are being dealt with, and just as you've rightly pointed out, people that are in the public eye, results for them are very, very easily obtained. However, when you've got the common person, we represented a lady who was the subject of an intense campaign of harassment. The police really didn't know what to do, didn't know how to handle it. So perhaps, now the police hopefully will have some clearer idea as to what they can and can't do. But the guidelines don't go far enough in that they do not define what is grossly offensive. These sort of terminology is still gapingly wide, and it's being left in the hands of the police and the prosecution to determine whether a particular event, a particular tweet or comment would fall into such a definition.
I guess that's very personal, isn't it? That's part of the problem. Some people might find it offensive, others might not.
Absolutely.
A swift apology and a removal of a tweet might be mitigating circumstances. Do you think that that is right? After all, hasn't the damage been done?
Yeah, I guess everything comes down to context. It's got to come down to what was said, how it was said, who by, who to, and whether this is perhaps in a range of comments, maybe there was a historical context before. It's very difficult to pigeonhole each type of offence that could be created. We have to remember that social media is still fairly new. It's only about 6 years old. So we're still exploring, how it's being used, what's being said, and it really is people will have to get used to what to say and what not to say, and it is all common sense.
It is common sense, but most of us don't know the ins and outs of libel law, defamation law, and it is terribly important. I have to learn it because I'm a journalist. You obviously know it inside out. Would you say to people who are regularly using social media, just have a little read up on what these laws say?
Now, as social media is becoming the common medium for communication, yes, it is becoming very important to know what you can and can't, or what you should or shouldn't say. Libel matters are obviously civil. It's completely different to the criminal spectrum of offences. But yeah, people do need to become aware that they need to think a little bit more before they say things.
If there was one thing that you could say to ministers, to Keir Starmer, that would come out of this consultation process, what would it be?
I think we can't curtail freedom of speech. Along with the good comments come the bad. And we have to accept that people are going to be using this medium, and there has to be uniformity in how people are dealt with. And, we have to take the good with the bad. And unfortunately, this is what social media is going to create.
Rupinder Bains, thank you very much for joining us. Rupinder is a solicitor specialising in internet defamation.